Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another journal with me video or junk journal with me video. I put a poll up on my Instagram the other day asking what the next video you would like to see from me would be out of a junk journal with me or a thrift haul video, and it was honestly neck and neck throughout the entire poll, but the junk journal with me just finished up in front. So I have filmed both of those videos for you guys, and the first one I'm sharing today is the junk journal with me. This is a pretty long junk journal with me. It's sort of like a catch-up session in a way because it's a mixture of things, and I went through my phone and I printed out a ton of little photos from my camera roll just from different moments from the last few weeks. There's a few random things that I have to put in my journal. I have some movie tickets, I have the Instax photo prints that I've just printed out. I have this lovely sheet of paper that one of my good friends gave me where she stitched these little snippets of fabrics on the side. And I also have some random labels that I've actually, most of them I went through my pantry and I pulled off various bottles, and a couple of them I already had loose waiting to go into my journal. So as well as that, I also have some flowers that I've been pressing from a moment these past few weeks. They're little weed flowers that my daughter picked for me, and I think that's all I have. So I'm, as always, just going to be working these things into a couple of different pages in my journal and just dressing up the pages to be pretty and interesting, and then I'm going to add my written journaling and my little sticker embellishments and whatever else I feel like adding to make the pages feel complete. I picked these particular few pages, they're sort of in the middle of my junk journal. I just really love the imagery and the patterns these papers already have, and I felt like the things that I had to add would go really well on these particular pages. So I'm starting out just by gluing in things that I have to put in. So I started off with the little piece of paper that my friend had done the sewing on the edge of, and I decided to trim this down and make it shorter so that I could attach it as an extra page in the journal and have those beautiful little snippets of fabric peeking out of the journal. So I purposely made that page a little bit longer so that those little fabric scraps would actually peek out of the book even when it's closed. And then I'm going through and I'm sticking down some of these labels that I was talking about. So this is going to make us look like we drink a lot of alcohol, but I actually very rarely drink. This honey label bottle is actually a bottle I picked up in New Zealand last year, actually about a year ago, and we haven't even finished this bottle. I got it as a gift from my husband, but he didn't really like it. This was a bottle from the honey place that we visited. I can't remember what it was called, but they had all of this honey themed everything. And so this was one like little sort of gift or souvenir that I picked up, and the label is really pretty. So I used my heat tool to try and get the label off as cleanly as I could. And there's two separate labels that I managed to get off. It has this really pretty gold bee embossing on it and just really cool typography that I thought would be a cool little thing to include in my junk journal. And while I was at it, I also took off the label off this cordial bottle that we had in the pantry as well. This was another label that was really pretty. It had a bit of gold on it and this lovely pink and red label, which didn't come off completely cleanly. It was kind of hard to get it off without ripping it, so it did come off into little bits, and I'm just going to glue those two bits down together to put the label back together on the page. As I was sticking this down on this beautiful book page in my journal, I decided I didn't want to cover up that little illustration that almost looks like they could be raspberries or strawberries. So I just peeled and teared off that little bottom piece of the label so that it doesn't cover it up. And then you can see I'm just gluing that little ripped corner of the label on so that you can't really tell too much that it was torn. To help stick the edges down, I'm just using some clear tape as well, like clear sellotape, just so that the edges are down so that they're not going to peel up. It also just helps it sort of set to the page as it's drying. The last little label I have is actually one I've had floating around since my friend's 30th in April, and I kind of like misplaced it and then I found it, so I'm just gluing it on this page as well. I'm working across multiple spreads in this journaling session, So my plan was kind of just to stick in the main large pieces across the spread evenly. So you can see there's kind of like one piece of ephemera on each page so far. And I know that I'm going to be able to fill up these pages with my written journaling, if nothing else. So I'm kind of happily spreading this out across multiple pages. The other thing that I knew would take up some space was the movie tickets. So we saw Jurassic World, the new Jurassic World movie. And again, these tickets have been just floating around and I kind of forgot about them. So I'm including them in the spread as well. And instead of gluing them across the page like I would usually do, I decided to stack them up and then just put a staple or two through them so that it creates this kind of like flippy book on the page corner, if that makes sense. Just a really simple and quick way to attach them to the page in their original form. Next, I'm going to start working in my Polaroids, and again, because I have quite a few of them, I'm going to try and disperse these across the pages fairly evenly, and I'm going to try and dedicate a different page to each photo or each group of photos. So the first little group of photos are some pictures of my kids at a new playground that's near our house. And so I'm going to group those together. And then I have two little photos of my kids reading. One of them they're reading in the car and another at the kitchen table. Actually, my son was reading while he was eating his dinner. And then I have a random photo of us getting some ice cream from the ice cream truck. And then another picture of my niece and my husband at Disney on Ice during the holidays. Lastly, I have a few little pieces of vintage stationery paper. So when I was putting my latest journal collection together, I filled up the pages with this beautiful stationery paper. And as I was going through it, I was like, I need to keep a piece of some of these for myself. I need to put a piece of these into my journal before they're all gone. So I put aside a few of my very favorite stationery or vintage stationery pieces from those letter sets. And you'll see in the spread, I'm already working two of them into my journal. They are so pretty. One has roses on it and one has like a lined design with a blue border, and then this cute little sort of picture, like a circular picture of some kids or some people sitting in a field, which I thought was just so pretty. So I've stuck those down, and then I'm using some double-sided tape to go ahead and stick those photos down to the page as well. I have to say I'm absolutely loving how easily these pages are going together. As I was putting these pages together yesterday, everything just seemed to go so well, like the pink and the greens on this page spread and then the blues on this page spread, like everything just complemented each other so well and came together so easily. I felt like all the pieces that I'd picked out to use plus what I just had beside me on my desk, like ready to grab, it just so seamlessly and easily matched together, which made for a really quick journal spread to put together. And I just really love the finished result as well, which you'll see at the end of this video. This particular vintage note paper set with the blue border, the paper is quite transparent, which I really liked because when I glued this down across this page, I put it in the middle of the page so it was overlapping both sides, and you can see through the white part of that paper to the original pattern paper underneath, which I think is so pretty. I love that sheer look that it has. And then, as usual, I'm flicking through the entire page spread that I've done so far just to see what else I can add and what else I can do to bring it together. I did have this little envelope that my daughter had made for me. She's really cute and she loves making these little fold out notes. She learnt it on YouTube and they're so cute. And so I had one of these that I'd saved from her, and I decided to open it up and to staple it down on the page as like an open note. Otherwise it was just a little bit too bulky when it was folded, and it fit on that first page really well, so I stapled that down. You can still lift it up and see the patterned paper underneath it as well. And then flicking back to this page, I've got two photos of my daughter holding a bunch of flowers or weeds from the park, and the particular flowers that I'm sticking down on the page are the ones that were in her hand in the photos. I think that's a really cool thing to include, like a photo of the flowers before they're pressed. So the pictures of her holding the little weed bouquet, and then these flowers are quite dry and pressed because I've just had them sitting within some paper, and they are a little bit bulky. They're not perfectly pressed because they were a little bit wilted by the time we got home, but I just stuck them straight down on the page with some clear sticky tape, and I really like the way that that looks and decorates the page. The paper beside it is from a beautiful vintage children's book. The illustrations in this book are amazing, so you can see why I didn't really want to cover them up too much, and they're just a nice little complement to the page and a nice sort of decoration to the page. Without covering them up, I can just add things around those illustrations to help enhance them and not take away from them too much. At the bottom of the envelope from my daughter, I decided to add a little paper clip. So I folded over the little triangle edge of that note over the page, and I added a paper clip just to stop it from flapping all around. And then I'm just adding some tiny little details like strips of washi tape and clear tape to help stick things down, decorative tape just to fill in little awkward spaces on the page and just help to make it look more finished and add more pretty decorative elements. I pulled out these pretty little doilies. These are printables from my shop. They're some illustrated linens, and I was trying to fill this space with something, and I decided to use two of those yellowy or orange toned sort of linen pieces on this page and overlap them to fill that gap. So this page ended up very sort of creamy yellow toned, which I think works really well. And I managed to fill those little awkward gaps that were left on that page and leave myself some room to do some written journaling later on. I've been enjoying using sellotape to help stick the edges of things down. Sometimes I'm finding myself reaching for that more than I am with washi tape, just because it's not covering up what's underneath, and I can get into all those little awkward gaps without covering up what I've done and what I've stuck down on the page. So it comes in handy when you don't want to cover it up with a pattern and you want it to continue looking the way that it was, but it also helps to add that extra bit of adhesive and make sure that everything's stuck down. I decided to add a few more of those linen printables from the same pack. So a blue one on the last page and a green one on the page before, and as you can see, the colours just complement those particular pages so well. Then I'm pulling out this little stamp set. This was a thrift find, which I will show you in the next thrift haul video. And I'm just stamping a few various titles across the page spreads as well. So for the first title, I wrote Park Plays, and for the second title, I wrote Reading, and then for the last title that I stamped, I wrote Holiday Fun. And I really like the way those simple little stamp titles look on the page as well. Here you can see what my pages look like when I've done my written journaling. Sometimes I like to just turn off the camera and go and sit somewhere, like in this particular session. I went and sat out in the sunshine and I did my written journaling off camera just so that I could sort of take my time and really enjoy and sort of decompress and do that journaling session without worrying about getting all the angles. Sometimes I like to do that and then just reveal the written journaling at the end, and then we can go in and add those final details and final touches to the page. So I pulled out this container which holds my stickers, and I'm going through all the stickers and I'm just pulling off anything that I think will complement the page and help to enhance the page further. I'm using a ton of American craft stickers, and I'm also using some of my own stickers, which is still so surreal to me to just pull out a sticker sheet that I've created. So the little black transparent stickers are mine, and then there's also some other stickers that I use in a moment that are also mine as well. So these little flower stickers that you see me adding along the bottom of the green linen, they're from my most recent physical junk journal kit. So I absolutely love how those pop off the page as well. Every page I've added these to so far, the colours are just so vibrant and they just complement so well. Adding little tiny word stickers along the bottom of photos and little tiny heart stickers, just little tiny little stickers that add such a simple touch, such a simple detail to the page to help pull it all together. Then finally, I decided to pull out my coloured pencils and I'm just going to add some sort of textured pencil lines around the page. So I'm using this pretty blue pencil to go around the edges of some of these Polaroid pictures and just along the bottom of the page. I really like that pencil texture that it adds and that little pop of colour. And then I'm using a pink pencil to help bring out some of the journaling on a different page. So I'm just able to add a nice light colour behind the journaling, just as kind of like a highlighter, I guess. And then on the last page, I'm using a different colour to go around one of the Polaroid pictures just to kind of give it a frame. And then here is a look at all of the finished pages. I absolutely love how these pages came together. I started off this page with no plan whatsoever. I just had the bits that I've been collecting and gathering up to get down in the journal. And the pages just came together way better than I had ever thought that they would or planned that they could. They matched with these particular pages in my junk journal so well. And all the little stickers and elements that I added, like the colour palettes just work so well. And I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. I love these pages. I hope you enjoyed seeing this process video. As I mentioned, I will have a thrift haul video coming up, so if you're hanging out for that, make sure you just stay tuned. Keep an eye on my channel because it won't be too far away. Very soon I hope to have a brand new junk journal kit to share, which I'm so excited about. And yeah, I just want to thank you so much for staying until the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. That would help me so much. And also make sure you check out my junk journal with me playlist because I have so many videos just like this one that you can watch for some journaling inspiration. Thanks again, and I'll see you again really soon in my next video.